Hey, everybody. Before we begin the show, I wanted to give a shout out to our friends at PowerPool. PowerPool is a mining pool and is one of the most profitable for miners. So if you have one miner at home or a fleet of miners at scale, point your workers to PowerPool to enjoy the best payouts. PowerPool supports a number of algorithms, SHA-256 for Bitcoin, X11 for Dash, and others. And of course, we're focused and we care about the most, S-CRYPT for Litecoin, Dogecoin, and now Bell's Coin, merge mining. Pointing your workers to PowerPool is easy with its simple user interface, and the platform also has all the reporting available that your operation needs. Typically, PowerPool extends a low 1% pool fee. However, if you register with the 84 million link in the show notes, you will lock in a sub 1% pool fee, which is excellent. Cheers, happy mining. Hello and welcome to the 84 Million podcast. We're on episode number 42, and we have a special episode with two guests today. This is rare for the podcast. We've got Jonny Litecoin and we've got John Kim with us, two OGs in the Litecoin space. Let me give you guys an introduction, then we'll roll with it. So John Kim, the simple man with a simple plan, the original Litecoin evangelist, and self-proclaimed CEO of Litecoin as of like 2 days ago.
True, it's true.
Find him on X at JohnKim77. And of course, we've got Jonny Litecoin. He was episode 2 on the show back in its really early days. And he's a kind of Litecoin support expert on all things payments. And I'll add that both of these men are probably the fittest in the room in terms of the Litecoin community. I'm going to say that's unopposed. Follow Jonny on X at Jonny Litecoin. Welcome to the show, both of you guys.
So I just want to start by saying Johnny's like, he believes in the big green energy thing. So he doesn't like to use light because he's trying to save the earth and the planet. So just everybody understand. I know he looks like a black man right now, but he's completely white and he's bearded up. He's jacked, but he does not like to use the light because he cares about the planet.
I am very tan because it's summer, but you're right, John. You got to worry about your circadian rhythm, so you don't want to get a lot of light at night. You want to wind down, get that great sleep.
This is going to be something. I don't even know if I can handle this episode, but we're going to do our best. But either way, you guys this is a rare moment. We got both of you. Actually, the community was asking, where's Jonny and where's John Kim? Now, John, you've done some more content in the past few days. Jonny, you have been. I said, hey, both these guys are still active. What are you talking about? But to be fair, we've got you in the same room and we're able to kind of look back. I think a lot of this episode will be, at least for me, maybe an interest in looking at kind of the nostalgic component of you guys and your relationship with Litecoin, the foundation, just the space, because you've been in here longer than I have. In fact, John, I know I met you at your apartment up in somewhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area a few years ago with Litecoin Lisa. And then I remember meeting you in real life and I'm like, wow, I'm meeting John Kim for real. This is something cool. So I still think it's something cool. And I'm just going to add, we missed both of you this year at the summit.
Oh, you didn't go either, Johnny? Hey, we didn't plan it. We promise.
No, life gets in the way sometimes, so I unfortunately couldn't go. I always love going to the Litecoin Summit. Always a great time, and you come back, you feel rejuvenated. You got to talk, hang out with everybody, listen to some great presentations about what's to come. So unfortunately I didn't get to make it, but I missed all you guys there.
Yeah, I got the flu and I didn't want to go over there and give it to everybody, and and plus I'm Asian, so if I start coughing and stuff, people are gonna be like, COVID. So I want to.
I just want to disclaim that John Kim's words are his own. I can't handle it. We're just going to let it roll.
Nobody can tame me.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's start with this one. You've both been involved with Litecoin forever. That's a little bit of an overstatement, but for a long time. The space has changed. We're in 2025. What is your inroads to Litecoin? Let's just start with real basics. John, and then maybe Jonny.
Bro, I got in early 2017, and then I sold everything and left August 6, 2018, LTC 30 for 30. Bro, I left and went to the street. I couldn't give away Bitcoin. People were like, no, 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 no. Like it was, and I was like, I left everything for this because on Twitter, it felt like crypto, everybody was like getting into crypto, right? But went to real world, no, but I mean, they didn't even want to hear it. And that every time I mentioned Bitcoin, because of all that bad press about the dark market and what it was being used for, they were just like, no, 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 no. And I couldn't even give it away. Fast forward 2025, the president of the United States is stacking, and the whole administration is pro crypto. SEC has been defeated. There's companies, big corporations that's putting Bitcoin in the Treasury. Like, what is going on? I thought this was like maybe 20 years away in 2018. And I can't believe it came so fast thanks to the Ponzi scheme that is the US dollar. You know what I mean?
And the Fed.
Yeah.
And the Fed.
Once upon a time, we said that in crypto. Go ahead, Johnny.
Like in a way, it was better times though. Back 2017, 2018. Everything was new. Everything was fresh. People didn't know about it. You're right, John. People didn't want to hear about it. But if we did get through to them, did explain what it was, their judgment wasn't clouded. And I feel like there's been a lot of murkying of the waters in crypto where usually now when I talk to people about crypto, they usually tell me about someone that they know that made money on a meme coin. They bring up FTX, or they tell me that they could have bought Bitcoin and they didn't for whatever reason. Imagine where they'd be now. And I'm like thinking to myself,
I mean, everybody
like,
can say that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like thinking to myself, there's no way you would have held throughout all this. You would have lost it. You got it stolen from you. Like, don't think that way. And it's always, so it was in my mind a better time. But either way, like you're right, John. Like all this, the president stacking, like how everything's kind of turning, and the Litecoin Treasury, how that's happening, and all this stuff. So there's a lot of amazing stuff happening as well. But yeah, no, what got me into Litecoin, my inroad into it was really kind of being introduced to Bitcoin for a while, and it never clicked. And then somebody showed me the back end of it. I got in from like a nerdy way. They showed
a lot of
me
us
the
did, though.
end of a transaction. I was in my office, and they kept explaining to me Bitcoin. I heard about Litecoin a little, and they showed me a Litecoin transaction. They paid somebody for something. It was they sent the money from New York to Cali, and they're like, watch this. I just sent $1,000, and watch this. It got there almost instantly. And I was just blown away by the data. I said, wait a minute, how are you able to get this data on this transaction? And they were like, there's no central authority to this. Because I was like, man, we're a credit card processor. We can't get info on our own clients. Like, it takes us hours. Like, it's such an archaic system. And I was like, this is public info. And it's like, there's no central authority. And then I understood how like these transactions can't be censored or stopped. And that was it for me. But really, Litecoin, I came to look at as a payments coin. And that's what drew me to Litecoin. And I remember hearing Charlie Lee talk in interviews how he wanted Litecoin to be used for payments. And I remember watching live when he went on CNBC, and the infamous that he kind of divested himself of Litecoin and he sold his Litecoins. But to me, I said, man, something's up with this Litecoin. Like there's like this Litecoin is going places. Like if this guy is this serious to go on TV, talk about how and I knew, I'm like, he doesn't seem like he's leaving the project or anything. It's just to make it more like decentralized. So I looked at it as a good thing. And I was almost like, man, I got to get involved with Litecoin. Like when he said that it was on live. I watched it live. I was like, man, I got to get involved with Litecoin and like talk about it to people. And then I wasn't even on Twitter. I found the world Twitter, the Litecoin Foundation. Back then, John, you'll remember, was a Slack channel they had.
Yeah.
You actually reached out to me from the Slack channel because I just started on Twitter. And you were like, hey, I'll get you some followers. I'll like tweet about you or whatever. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Sean took me under his wing on Twitter. I had no clue what I was doing.
Well, John,
I know
you've had
what?
an account since 2009, and I think Johnny, yours is 2017, if I remember.
I never used it. I started using it in 2017 because of Twitter. I mean, because of,
Impressive.
yeah, I just had an account. I never even knew how to tweet because I didn't graduate from high school, so I don't even know how to do a complete sentence. So I was like, dang, Twitter's gonna find out real quick that I'm not that smart when it comes to writing, tweets. So, but that was a motivation for me to keep doing Twitter because I wanted to get better, and back then we didn't have AI to, polish our
Fix it.
tweets or anything like that. But I want to jump on what Johnny just mentioned. One of the greatest tweet from Charlie was, most people keep their cells private and make their donations public, right? Charlie made his cell public and keeps all of his donations private.
Private.
That's how you can tell someone that has a really good character, right?
Mhm.
So all these founders, they never tell when they sell, but I promise you, bro, and trust me, my sources, trust me, bro.
They're selling.
These founders are all selling behind the scenes, dumping on their people. And then whenever they do something nice, they present it into the public like there's some really good Samaritans. But Charlie actually did it the opposite way, where he kept his donations. You know how many people Charlie has helped? Me, all these people, so many people behind the scenes, and they don't say anything in public, but we just appreciate him from private. And even now, like Charlie donated to Ben Askren as well. I mean, no one knows about it.
Yeah.
No one knows about it. But Charlie's one of those people that doesn't like to keep like his donations public. But he made his cell public, and till this day, he's the only one that did it, had the balls to do it, and gave a good reason why he did it, right? Till this day, 2025, in all your comments when you talk about Litecoin, oh, Charlie sold his stash.
Charlie sold the top. People say,
come on, bro.
Well, he won't be able to sell the next top. We're not going to talk about the market yet, but either way, keep going.
Made sense though what he said back then, because he said that he didn't like that if he tweeted, people felt like he was just tweeting to move the price of Litecoin.
Yeah, just pumping stacks, right? Yeah.
Completely. And I said, well, that makes sense. Like, I don't want one guy like having all these coins if I'm going to get behind something. Like, I'm already in the credit card processing world. I wanted to do something that was like completely different from that of the regulation, the AML, the KYC, which unfortunately came to crypto. We could talk about that later. And that's kind of why I say better times back in 2017, 2018, because of where we've been taken as far as that goes. But it's kind of funny. A buddy of mine, we were talking about crypto the other day. We were talking about Ethereum, and he goes, the only thing that scares me with Ethereum is what if that Vitalik guy dies or something? He goes, what happens to the price then? Because he just associated it so much with Vitalik. But with Litecoin, it's like almost like he forgot it. I mean, he knows Charlie created it, but he's not thinking Charlie, because he was like, again, he knows he sold his coin, the initial thing. So he's not doing something to pump the price or whatever. So it was interesting how he said that. I was like, it's like Litecoin, like.
So Johnny, I actually have a private conversation that I had with Charlie about that. Okay. So, at the time I became friends with Charlie, and then, I had to ask him, right? Because I'm one of those people, like, I'm not going to lie for my friend. That's just not my style. Like, I won't talk about it, but I'm not going to lie for my friend. So I got on the phone with him. I was like, bro, like, can you tell me why you sold, And he's like, John, every time I tweeted, I had to really think about, am I trying to fatten my own pocket, or am I doing this for the project? And he said he stayed up at night wondering if he was that guy that was trying to use his creation to fatten his own pocket. And he said he had to make that decision because several reasons, right? Like, at some point he knew he needed to get away to make Litecoin more decentralized. And that he wanted to sleep. He didn't want anything on his conscience that made him believe that he said it was very difficult to tell, because sometimes he would just post about Litecoin because he really was excited and it was really good news. But then there's a small little voice that said, are you trying to fatten your own pocket? Are you sure you're sending this tweet? So I think for him, he just wanted to have a peace of mind knowing that he let his creation. I mean, imagine, right? None of us went to MIT. None of us were smart enough to create a $9 billion cryptocurrency, right? So for him, it's probably one of his biggest accomplishments in his life. And at some point, you're a dad, I'm a dad, everybody's a dad here. At some point, and my boy just turned 18, and he's going up to play college football, right? Big ups, Jaden. But now it's like, all right, Jaden, for 18 years, I was there. Now it's time for you to fly. It's time for you to do your thing. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's okay. Learn from it. This is how you're going to grow. And I feel like that was the same exact moment for Charlie. It was like, hey, Litecoin, I know you're just this digital coin that I created, but my name, my character, everything that I am is involved in you. And I want you to succeed. Even if I have to step back behind the scenes and support you, you know, and everything that you do, but you have to walk alone now. So when I had that conversation with him, that's when I said, you know what? This is the kind of founder we need in this space, and we don't have many. Trust me, guys. Right. Your favorite founder, you don't want to meet them in real life. You never want to meet your hero in person, okay?
No.
Charlie, every time I see him, he's like a humble Chinese prince that was raised in America, that has American values, and he's one of my best friends now. We talk all the time. I was just talking to him right now before I got on here. I said, hey, I'm doing a podcast with Jonny and 84, and he's like, well, good luck. So yeah, that's the real story, guys. So if anybody says anything, just know that's the real stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely a shift, and that's another reason why we bring you guys on, to kind of remind us of these things. I knew about Litecoin older. I know I'm preaching to the choir for those that listen to the show, but you know, I always say I knew about Bitcoin. It's too much into Peter Schiff to adopt it. I liked it philosophically, but it wasn't, you know. And then Litecoin was the first altcoin, and it was the first one that I ignored, right? And then I said a few years ago, I'm never going to do that again. So we're here. But in terms of, you know, the evolution of the space, there was a gap, right? When you guys were active, you guys were like who I would go online and be like, hey, there's John Kim, there's Jonny Litecoin, you know, like you were like, you're still pump people up, by the way. You've inspired so many people, and never forget that. Never forget that. But it's neat to have you guys and just share these kind of reflections. But I mean, just even about Charlie, I think he is more like an elder statesman. He is more reserved now. I mean, I met him in real life, right? IRL. I've been at the last 2 summits and have been a part of that, and it's always been just a pleasure to be there, be a part of it, and serve in the ways that I can. But like, and I don't waste his time either. Like, if there's something I want to address him about, I make it known. But I honor him, you know, and his expertise. But there was a time, I think, maybe 2017 and prior, where, you know, and I think some of us miss it, and I don't know if we're ever going to get it back. And he's still engaged. He still tweets. He's got still an insane 10-year thread. It's a few years old now, but that was amazing. That's like a textbook for Litecoiners. But he's more reserved now, and it makes sense. The whole space matures. I mean, Litecoin, when he created it versus the space now, it's like 2 different worlds, and it's going to keep changing. But I think some of us miss that. The Dragon Ball memes, you know, all those things. What are your thoughts about maybe Charlie as the guy you knew rubbing shoulders with in the early days of Litecoin?
Jonny, you want to go first?
I mean, it's just like this. The space in general was different.
And smaller.
Yeah, it was just it was much smaller. It was just, there wasn't as much stuff and confusion. Like I said, the waters weren't muddied. So it was just had a different vibe. Even getting like a place to accept Litecoin. You'd be like, oh, I want Charlie would like retweet it for you or like it. liking the tweet, you're like, yes, you like the tweet.
Yeah.
But but it was no, it's just different times though. Like now I feel like it's a different, it hits different. Back then it was like, now so the place accepts Litecoin. It just hit different back then. I don't know. There's crypto has a different feel now. And it's the cool thing is that Litecoin even evolves, never been down, no downtime, evolves with the times. The blockchain only gets better. There's more throughput on it. So that's all the good stuff of where Litecoins came from, where it was. The crazy thing is, if you look at the network does get a lot more usage nowadays compared to what it did. I remember when me and John started and doing our thing out there and really promote Litecoin, there was like 25,000 Litecoin transactions a day. Now there's a couple 100,000 on an average day. There's a lot more value moved through it. So it shows with all these other cryptos that are available and how the space has grown, how value's still sent through Litecoin, which is really cool. But you just like someone like Charlie, I mean, you hear from him less now, you know what I mean, as far as tweets go, I guess. But that doesn't mean he's doing less. I guess he doesn't need to talk about it as much. Not that he was ever a man that needed to talk about stuff, but I feel like when crypto was beginning, he had to, because he was the creator of Litecoin. He had to tweet a lot. He had to talk a lot about stuff. He was expected to. And now that the space has grown, he's not as expected to tweet as much and do all that. But it was wild. Like, I remember the first time I met Charlie was at, what's the big conference that it's in like New York City a lot? Like, it was Consensus.
Consensus, yeah.
I remember he asked people on the Litecoin Slack channel who was going to be there. And I was like, man, I didn't want to buy a ticket, but I was like, so I ended up sneaking in on the last day. So I was like, it was a couple $1,000. I was like, this is like a corporate thing. This isn't what crypto is about. I was like, you know what? I'm sneaking in. And I remember telling Charlie, I snuck in. I was like, I wonder how he's going to take it. He was like, oh, cool. and then I walked around with him and we were hanging out at the conference, and he's just mobbed by people. I was like, I feel bad being with this guy. Like, every step we take, people are like, Charlie, trying to talk to him. But I'll never forget. I was like, hey, when do you leave town, Charlie? He was like, oh, today. I was like, today? And I was like, when? He told me when his flight was. I was like, you got to get out of here right now. I was like, traffic's like around here. I was like, oh my God. You're going to miss your flight. I was like, you're going to miss your flight. So I was like, yo, I'll drive you to the airport. You don't have any time to waste. And I ended up driving him to the airport. It was pretty cool.
It is.
If anyone that's listening to this that came into the crypto market late, I'm going to take you back to 2017. All right. Imagine with me, 2017, the hottest, the most popular dude in crypto was Charlie. Okay. Because Litecoin just was popping. It was ripping. It was the coin that everybody was like, because it was the third coin, but it was so cheap. It was going up so fast.
And there wasn't as much back then of all these coins. Yeah.
And Charlie was so popular. And let me tell you how popular he was. Okay. I remember all I wanted from him was a like. Any of my tweets, I just wanted him to like it one time. Never liked it. And I remember one time, my friends, my wife at the time, cousin, got us a room at MGM, brand new MGM in Baltimore, Maryland. We're in that room, and I tweeted something, and he liked it, and I was in bed. I jumped out of bed, and I said, hey, Charlie liked my tweet. All right, listen, I ain't no fanboy, all right? But just to let you know, that's how famous and popular Charlie Lee was in 2017. So after that like, I changed my name to Satoshi Light's bodyguard because I wanted to get more of his attention. You know what I'm saying? I told him, hey, I'm not smart, whatever, but I used to fight MMA. I can protect you. I can be your bodyguard on Twitter. He said, you got it. And then now I'm just like, ecstatic because Charlie's acknowledging me.
Were you
And there
ever
was
his
that.
actual bodyguard though?
Yeah, I was his actual bodyguard on the
Okay.
first Litecoin conference. But so what started off as a joke actually became a reality in the first Litecoin summit. But just letting you know how I met you. So one night I got really drunk and I DM'd him and I said, hey, my name is John. I have this past. I didn't even graduate from high school. I don't know how to add value to Litecoin, but I promise you, if you give me one chance, you will never be disappointed. And then he messaged me back and said, you got it. And then he invited me to the Litecoin Foundation. So I want you guys to know one thing. I met the hero, the guy that I was thinking of as an icon through Twitter. And after that, I was hooked. I was like, Twitter is the only place in the world that if you're clever enough and real enough, you can actually get in touch with the biggest CEOs and the founders of this world. If you were to do that in real life, you go to the building, you go to the front. I came to meet Charlie Lee or Elon Musk. Secretary will give you the runaround and you'll never meet him.
Yeah.
Guys, listen, use Twitter to your advantage. It is the only place you can actually meet and become best friends with your idol.
Especially back then, though, it was when we were talking to a lot of brands and companies and accepting crypto, accepting Litecoin. A lot of the thing that they liked the idea of, no chargebacks, lower fees, all that crypto had to offer. But they were like, wow, this is some good marketing exposure too that I could get. A lot of them, they had no clue what to do on Twitter. We were clueless when we started. They're more clueless. So they were like, wow, you guys can really put me on the map and get out there. And this is awesome. So that was a big part of the alert too, was Twitter marketing and being able to help promote the business. And the cool thing is a lot of the businesses back then that we got to accept Litecoin and crypto, we brought them regular business as well because we gave them free marketing. So a lot of people went in and bought stuff there then just to talk to them about Litecoin or crypto. They weren't necessarily going to use it or knew how to use it, but they were like, oh, I saw your video. Like that was cool or whatever. So that was a cool thing too from back then. It, like I said, it had a different feel than now. Of the market, the waters being so muddied of what people think of crypto now. And, usually if you mention Litecoin to people, they're like, oh, Litecoin, yeah, hasn't done well, or what happened, or they're kind of like, and it's kind of like, well,
it's all degenerate gamblers now, bro. It's all degenerate gamblers.
Exactly. It's like, well, the Litecoin network's done great. Technically, in how it's performed, I couldn't ask for more. It has MWeb. It's never went down. Fees got lower. I mean, more usage, more throughput. I mean, wow. So it's just like you said, it's just degenerate gamblers out there. And actually, in terms of price performance, though, Litecoin over the last year compared to most altcoins hasn't done that bad. A lot of it's actually outperformed most altcoins in the last.
We need to talk about that $100 million purchase soon because
most stuff's done so bad.
It's going to do very well this year.
Before we go there, let me just close this on this kind of point we were on. I think you were describing, I want to talk about the market, John. I know I want to talk about the market with you, but I think we described kind of like a grassroots effort, and it was all of that in the early days. And I think we still have that, right? I think in Litecoin, we still have a lot of grassroots stuff, and you still sort of feel, I was at Summits 4 and 5. You were there from the earliest ones, the first ones. But it still feels kind of like it's changed a lot. It's grown. It's well done versus if you compare the first event to the fifth event. You can obviously see the maturation, but I still think we have not lost it. Other spaces have lost it. And I want to say Litecoin is keeping that fire burning of like grassroots. And you can still, and we take it for granted. I've said that before. We do take it for granted that we can reach out to Charlie online, right? We can literally, follow him and see what he's thinking, even though his volume might be less these days. But we did hear from him regarding the pharmaceutical buy, though, and I do want to talk about that. Anything else on the older summits? Because I'd love to hear your opinion on the older summits, and I imagine you guys watched this last year's, even though you weren't there presently.
Older summits, every summit's been great. The older summits were just more, I guess, because everything was so new, so you wanted to hear like what's.
It's the first time we ever met each other, all of us.
You didn't. It was the first time we ever met each other. So the first summit was just like electrifying.
It was just totally weird.
It was kind of awkward
because we're all online. Yeah,
it was all kind of awkward at first.
We had all this bravado and gusto, and it's like there was.
You haven't lost it.
I remember there was even a thing going around about Litecoin. This was back in the beginning of 2018, where on Twitter, people were filming themselves going in and like talking to like stores in the mall about Litecoin. And it was like, do your best video. And then like they were getting retweeted every day, like more and more videos coming out. So
Johnny, we started that, son.
Dude,
we are the pioneers of that, son.
We need way more of that because it's still money.
Bigger back then, I guess, because it was just things were different back then. Crypto was unknown. You'd go out there and people were like, a lot of people didn't know what Bitcoin was. They were like, what? Bitcoin? So you were just kind of introducing it to them and explaining what it was. It was definitely
no one was crazy enough like me. Like I wouldn't be able to do that again because everybody had a job. They couldn't just sell everything and just go on the road. I went from Texas all the way up Wyoming, all the way in New York, all the way in Florida, and then I went straight to the first Litecoin summit all the way to San Francisco in my Litecoin truck, right? So I just don't know if there's anybody that's crazy enough that would actually do something like that again. But it started really like hard because I realized the reality hit. Nobody cared about crypto in the real world. But as I kept going, everybody was so inspired by this Asian dude who wasn't that smart, but wanted to prove to the world that he can like make this adoption thing happen. And when I went to New York and I met John, that's when he lit a fire under me because he knew so much about the payments world. He'd come from the credit card processing, and just spending time with him, going to Verizon Wallets, getting them to accept Litecoin as payment. And, Johnny, he does a lot of cold calling, right? He's good at that. So me going with him kind of inspired me and gave me some more bullets on what to talk about to the people who I was trying to convince, because he had the whole spiel down because he was going in, getting people to change their credit card company to him. So I think after New York, my spiel became a lot more solid to where I could answer a lot more questions, deep questions that people that wanted answers to. So I don't know. I think we need someone like me, right? Someone crazy that's willing to go all in and just go out into the world. And we need someone like Johnny, who is an expert in the credit card, department, and to be able to tell people the difference between a decentralized Litecoin blockchain network compared to the banks and the credit card companies that we use. So he played a huge role and after him, we got Bob Moore Subaru. I went to Cali and I got Beverly Hills Lexus to accept Litecoin. Bro, I just walked through. I walked in and
you took over of getting places to accept Litecoin.
But Johnny, you know what I did when I walked in? I said, listen, you got to accept Litecoin and I can get you about 200,000 views. Just do it for the marketing then. Let me go in, film it. You accept Litecoin. Whether people come pay with it or not, you're going to get free marketing. Like you said earlier. Later, I realized, okay, the spiel isn't about will you accept Litecoin. I walked in there like I owned the place. And I said, listen, you guys want free marketing? You want 200-300? Because back then, 200,000 views was a lot. Now you need like a couple million, right? In order to be impressed. But back then, 100,000, 200,000 view was a lot. So that became my spiel. That's how I was able to close so many stores because, like you said, John, I used marketing as my closing than anything else.
Marketing was a big part of it. And
because once Charlie retweeted it, the views just went.
My angle on things always was different. See, that's how I felt like, it's like you look at crypto or Litecoin. If you come to Litecoin, it's like, how do I add value? And I'm not a technical guy like these blockchain devs and developers, and I'm not coding the blockchain.
But you had real world knowledge about the credit card.
Real world knowledge of the payment industry.
Right.
And like John said, I had a lot of experience cold calling businesses, getting them to change over their credit card system to me, and really knowing how you get a business to accept a different payment form or just put in a new payment system and what it entails and what they're asking. They're not asking about what's the settlement time or this or that. They just want to know, like, well, how does it work? And how do I get to them real dollars out of it? Because again, we got to be respectful for the fact that a business, we don't care if they hold the Litecoin. We just want to be able to pay for it. If they want to convert it right away into dollars, that's their right. That's the point of Litecoin. It's easily convertible. That's a use case of it.
Right.
So people get mad. They're like, oh, they sold the Litecoin or whatever. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. When they accept credit cards, the system batches or settles, and it gives them dollars in their bank account. They wanted Litecoin to work the same way. Now, unless there's somebody that followed us on Twitter or somebody that was really into crypto and said, no, I get this stuff. I want to keep the Litecoin. To most people, it's like, no, they want to convert, and that's fine. I always said in crypto where we got it wrong was we're so interested in what people do with their money in the real world. You're not like, oh, you got 10,000 in credit cards today. You better hodl. You better not use that money. The business would be like, get lost. I got bills to pay. Like, who are you to tell me what to do with my money?
It's always the people that are never willing to do anything. That's on Twitter in their mom's basement, one hand on their little thingy, and tweeting about how people aren't doing enough. It's like that armchair quarterback. Listen, you've never been in the game. You don't know how it feels to score a touchdown. You don't know how it feels to be rejected. Me and Johnny, we were in them streets, boots on the ground. We were rejected. We got our battle scars. We are here, and there's nothing you can say because you are not willing to get your fat ass off your couch.
People remember the story. We were in Washington, D.C. at a crypto event, crypto conference, and I wanted to go cold call these businesses and hand out Litecoin marketing material. And I said, we're going to do this around the conference. The conference is taking place in the area. And we went out and we had a lot of drinks the one night. We were drinking wine. John Kim, like he said, he used to drink a lot of wine and drinking red wine. And I woke up the next day. I felt like somebody, like the mafia, gave me a beating with a baseball bat. Like I owed Uncle Sal money and I couldn't pay. And this dude sent the boys to look for me. And they said, we're not going to kill you. We're just going to give you a beating. I couldn't move the next morning. And I was crawling on the floor. And I'm telling John, I said, come on, John. And now, meanwhile, it's like 5 degrees outside. It's the middle of January. I said, we got to get out there and hand out flyers. He's like, Johnny, I don't think you're not in shape to go downstairs. You're going to go out in the streets of D.C. handing out Litecoin marketing material.
We need this, though. Like, are people still doing this? I really hope they are. I hope that there's enough.
They're not doing it.
I hope there's a fire under some. Well, here's the deal. Payments have gone backwards at point of sale. There was momentum and then it just stopped. That had to do with block size wars and everything else. But it's still money. I always say, I've said before, I've spent as much Litecoin as I currently hold or whatever. Like, I wish I had more. But the point is, I use it. If something needs to be paid, Litecoin is liquidity, right? So it comes and goes. Spend and replace. Obviously, if you can hold everything for all of your days, that is great. But that's not the case for a lot of people. And there's advantages to both sides, right? Obviously, its number go up because of the program of 84 million, and it's scarce, and the fiat is infinite. All of that is correct. But the point is, this is money. We should be using it to buy things. Coffee. John, I sent you a bag of coffee. You didn't make it to the summit, but you got a bag. That's the whole point. Spend your Litecoin. You can.
So here's the
hold it
thing.
too.
They call me the simple man with a simple plan. And that's not just a tagline. It's because I didn't go to school, so I'm not book smart, but boy, I got some street smarts, right? And streets always taught me one thing: practice before you preach, right? So since 2018 and now, I've been living off crypto. So I don't have a hypocritical bone in my body when I tell people to go spend your Litecoin, right?
Yeah. Did
Did I lose a lot of money by spending Litecoin? Yes. But did I gain a lot by spending Litecoin? Yes. Right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, there's so many people nowadays, they want to tell people what to do, but they never lived it, right? Me and Johnny, we were living it. That's why it was so real. That's why it was so authentic. That's why it caught on. And the reason I'm telling you, I don't think it can be done again is because the space has grown too much, right? Back then, we did it because we thought we're going to be pioneers of this.
And you
Right?
were. And I will still say we're still early. I think we can still say that. We've been here forever, but we're still early, right?
Yeah, but no one's going to go out and sacrifice their time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears to.
John's right.
So it's
In
just
the-
a stock that we sit on now.
in the
Yep.
retail.
I totally disagree with that. And I'm not disagreeing with you, John. It's
in
just
the
a shame.
retail payment space. Here's the thing: people use the easiest, best payment form available. Usually, it's a lot of times easiest, right?
Visa and cash.
most
Yeah.
People, if you're in public, a credit card's easiest and fastest for people. It's why it's so adopted. But I will say, if you buy something online, and if it's a purchase of a significant amount, now let's talk about a specific industry that's pretty near and dear to a lot of our hearts. Be the precious metals industry. A lot of people that are into crypto are also into silver, also into gold. You go on any precious metals website, JM Bullion, APMEX, all these sites, Golden Eagle Coin,
Absolutely.
all these sites, they accept multiple payment forms. It's usually PayPal, credit card, wire transfer, check, money order, maybe even. Oh, and then they accept crypto. And crypto actually is by far the easiest way to pay on those sites. And the reason being, because it's the most cost effective. So what they do is they charge you one price if you wire them money. That's the lowest.
Yep.
Usually they charge you 1% more if you pay with crypto. But they charge you 4% more if you pay with credit card. PayPal.
Yep.
So if you think about it, now, if you pay with crypto, your order ships that day or the next day. There's no wait time. Your order is placed immediately. If you wire money in, it's still a clearing time. And same thing if you pay with, I think if you pay with credit card, it's instant. But every other payment time has a wait, right? Because they have to wait to make sure it's settled and all that to make sure they got the money. So in that scenario or environment, crypto and Litecoin in particular, because Litecoin is the most used on BitPay, which is the number one payment processor in that environment, is actually a very good payment type. So I feel like in situations like that, that's where we'll see the adoption, where in the retail space, what John is helping to do with the Flexa network, it's a payment network that jumps on the rails of that legacy system through the gift card network that's already existing and built into these popular point of sale systems, especially in these big box retailers. That's the only way to do it, because you're not going to teach people in the public how to pay on chain. It's not as much as I wanted it or other people wanted it. We said that's the way. We're idealists and crypto maximalists, right? And so in the real world, in public, it's got to be something easy like that Flexa network. The Litecoin debit card was really cool. And what hurt us in the crypto space was Operation Choke Point 2.0. Choke Point 2.0 took away so many good products from us, affected, and actually that was a big cause of the reason I stopped doing a lot of videos, because the businesses I was promoting, what ended up happening was they started getting targeted because of Choke Point 2.0. People's bank accounts were getting shut down. I said to myself, I can't do this to regular people that don't understand crypto. I'm telling them accept Litecoin or Bitcoin, and their bank closing their account. They're beside themselves. I mean, they're like, so I said, oh my God, if I help people accept crypto or Litecoin now, it's got to be in secret where I could tell John or somebody else. I can't promote it to the public because of this targeting from Choke Point.
Right.
What's the state of Choke Point? Has this administration done anything with it to roll anything back, or?
I would say that yes, it's went away to a large extent. However, the banks still target people. If you're using a competitive product to what they have, they're targeting people and they don't like it. So I'm still really leery. You know, if I go into a bank, I take off a Bitcoin hat, or I'll go as far as turn a shirt inside out. I don't want them. I don't trust that if they see me in a Litecoin shirt or something, they know, hey, that's his account. We're going to close his accounts down. So I don't,
How does it work? Are they just like snitching? I mean, how does this even like get policed or carried out? Like, are you afraid the teller would like do something and like report you? Or?
Oh, really easy. If you like businesses that had crypto ATMs, the bank would go right in there and say, you got to get this out or your bank account's closed in 30 days. Mm-hmm. And then they would throw around the money laundering word to the business and scare the people. And the people would say, look, my bank came in, they're going to close my account down. They told me there's money laundering going through this. Like, I could be liable. I'm like, relax. There's a whole protocol for these ATMs. You're not liable. You're renting space. The company, if anything, the company that puts it in is liable. They're monitoring it. I mean, if you do more than 3 crypto transactions in a row from a crypto ATM, they actually will freeze the send because there's something called structuring, which is a violation of the money laundering guidelines. You're trying to structure payments to skirt around the system. So, you know, that's kind of unfortunately what happened. So I feel like with the Trump administration, they're getting rid of Choke Point, but basically they're bringing us, which it's great. They're stacking, they're doing all this stuff. We look at something like the Genius Act. They're bringing us what I call crypto at training wheels. And those, to be a compliant stable coin per this Genius Act, the transaction is required to be able to be censored or stopped. So it's the opposite of what we all loved about Litecoin. So to me, is that a win? Is it a win? Well, I kind of didn't think it was. I was tweeting about it. A few people that know the payments industry, some of them replied to the tweets or whatever, maybe messaged me or were like, hey, at least it's better for settlement. At least we're moving the ball in the right direction. Kind of like this was the only thing that could kind of get through because we're in such a draconian system. We're in a world post 9/11. The Patriot Act is still a thing. USA Patriot Act was supposed to go. That was supposed to be temporary.
Sunset, yeah.
Well, 24 years later, it's still here. And it's not. It's only getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah. And that's interesting too. What do you think the unseen consequences are for, let's say, these stables that you can turn off and on or censor?
Some people say that the Genius Act is just CBDC, like covered in the name of like stable coins, but it's going to lead to CBDC because it's like you said, like training wheels, right? But they can control your stable coin. Right?
Yeah.
They have the legal authority to change and control. So it's basically a conditioning for the CBDC that's probably going to come in the future if, you know, these elite people have their way.
And that's
I need to
discouraging. I always said, even with Bitcoin, if it's ever controlled, it would be worse than the previous system. You would have no anonymity, no privacy, everything's tracked, and we haven't gained anything. So
Can we just say Bitcoin has been hijacked now by the corporate?
Well, let's throw it out there. What's good for Litecoin is that Clarity Act, and that the Clarity Act. So I got to call, like you say, you got to call balls and strikes. While I'm critical of the Genius Act, the Clarity Act clarifies what's a security, what's actually a crypto commodity.
commodity, yeah.
Gives us, it says you're always going to be able to do self-custody and all this stuff, right? So it kind of, if you think about it, that's actually what we want for these decentralized blockchains. It protects us. It protects DeFi, protects self-custody.
And that's the key. Yeah.
If the last administration, I wouldn't even say the last administration, just Gary Gensler and people like that, all they would have had to come out and say was, here's the cryptos that are commodities. It's Bitcoin, it's Litecoin. They could even say Ethereum or whatever, a couple other coins. Fair enough. And you would see the Litecoin price right now at $500+. So much liquidity would have poured into Litecoin because they kept it so opaque and vague. It muddied the waters. And now people are like, oh, well, what does Litecoin do? This or that. It's like, we know what it does, but it's like their favorite YouTubers not talking about it. And it's like, it didn't get recognized for all that time because there was such murky water. So the Clarity Act, I think, is great for Litecoin. I liked almost every provision in it that I read. Where the Genius Act, I'm critical because the Genius Act, I looked at it, I said CBDC would be better than this because it would. The banks, if anything, if a CBDC came out, I feel like we, the people,
have
just
revolt
look at
or something. Yeah.
Bad.
It's Fed
We, the
coin.
people could,
Yeah.
What if a CBDC used MWeb? What if it used privacy technology? And these people in government actually fought for us and said, no, for a CBDC to work, it's got to be private. It's got to be censorship resistant. It's got to be just like cash. That would be better than the Genius Act. They're making the banks do the dirty work. This is going to be worse than because the banks are going to be worse than the government would be if they were just policing it. The banks are going to be 10 times worse. And even I can't give too many specifics because I'll be targeted by these financial companies, but even like creating an app for these POS systems, I've been thinking about that for a while. They're coming out with their own stablecoin. A lot of these popular financial companies that own these popular point of sale. So if they're coming out with their own stablecoin and we try to create a crypto app that's for another crypto, another stablecoin, say it runs Litecoin, US dollar coin, and US dollar tether. Well, they're never going to approve it. They're the gatekeeper of what's approved. So they're 10 times worse because the bank's the gatekeeper of what's approved for their best interest, for their stock price, for all that. So that's where I say, man, the stable coins, how this is rolled out, I think this is worse than a CBDC.
You want to say anything about that, John?
As the more everything in life, the more the government gets involved and more the big corporations get involved, it just becomes ruined. So I love Bitcoin and Bitcoin is king, but man, it has left the ethos of pure what Bitcoin was invented for, right? Now it's like people are, listen, I love Saylor, but they're buying his master stock. He's taking that money to get a loan to buy Bitcoin. Like, what's going on here, bro? Like, you're really supposed to buy your own Bitcoin, self-custody it, stack sats, and now it's like Michael Saylor has become the unspoken god of Bitcoin now.
And he tells people not to use Bitcoin.
You tell them to use stables, right? A lot of the Bitcoin maximalists are very friendly to stablecoins now.
Right. Here's the thing. Like, you know, I tweeted this. I said this on my live stream the other day. I met a lot of Bitcoin maxis in real life. We had dinner and stuff like that. And they know the rule. Rule number one, don't go outside of the brand, which means you don't talk about any shitcoin. Whatever you do in the private, okay, it's all good. But don't ever mention anything but Bitcoin on Twitter, right? Because if you do, you'll get shunned. You're not going to get invited to the big Bitcoin parties. And now Bitcoin has gone so big. Now there's yacht parties, right? And if you're not a hot girl, you're not going to get invited as long as you're talking about any other crypto besides Bitcoin, right? So, and now I just feel like, you know, it is what it is. But Bitcoin it's got a facelift. It went to a plastic surgeon. It got a facelift, and all of a sudden it's got duck lips. And it's got this big eyes, and it's got the face stretched, and it's got, you know, all those shots going on. It looks like Bitcoin, but I'm like, that ain't the Bitcoin that I used to roll with. But everybody's like, but got the duck lips. Bitcoin's looking so fine right now. It's got the fake boobs and everything. I'm like, but bro, Bitcoin was so much fine when it was natural.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's the
it is
thing
what
about Litecoin. Litecoin's still natural.
Still sexy and natural.
It's still that uncovered stone kind of thing. So I think I do think as much as a lot of people that follow us and these, you know, these hardcore crypto maximals, they don't like these ETFs. I think the Litecoin ETF is going to be really good because it's really going to put Litecoin on the map as, hey, Litecoin is an institutional grade cryptocurrency. It's recognized by Wall Street. It's going to bring this liquidity in.
But John,
So
when has Wall Street touched something and it didn't go bad?
I think
it gives us validation, but when was the last time the Wall Street came into a sector and not ruined it and took over?
I would say that for crypto, I feel like they already ruined Bitcoin. Will ruin some of that stuff. I feel like because Litecoin is because this is coming kind of after the fact, it will still I feel like they're not going to ruin Bitcoin because, again, it has a different vibe. It had different beginnings. It has a different feel. So I really feel like the Litecoin community, it's going to be, we have privacy. We have MWeb built in. We're kind of that coin that takes the risk. We did Lightning first. We did SegWit first. We did all that stuff first.
I must have forgot.
Yeah, this is good. A lot of this is good. And I keep thinking, which way do I want to pivot? Speaking of that, Lightning, atomic swaps, SegWit was the first one, right? How did the community, I know Charlie was a part of maybe leading the charge at that time, but anything that happens in Litecoin, I mean, the consensus and everything else, there has to be community support for it, right? We did the same thing with MWeb a few years later, but let's talk about the first one. What was the community support like with SegWit? Ultimately, in Bitcoin, it led to a split, right? Big blocks, small blocks, no SegWit, everything else. But Litecoin proved it first, and that's a fact.
Charlie played a huge role in that SegWit. So people, all y'all Bitcoin people, y'all better recognize who the GOAT is.
Yeah. He put $1 million in too to like hack it, and it couldn't
bring that up. The $1 million in the wallet basically said bounty.
And he talked to all the miners in China as well to convince them.
So I want to look at what we did then, because we were innovative. We tested, we took a risk, we won, we proved it. Bitcoin ended up getting better, in addition, of course, Litecoin getting better. But how do we learn from that now? Because we have ideas like, let's say, drive chains. I had Paul Stortz on this show. He's been working on that for Bitcoin for over 10 years. Some Bitcoiners are very much in support of it. But in terms of where Bitcoin is going, this ossification, everything else, I don't see it happening. Litecoin would have an opportunity to lead again as a test net, if you will, or just, as Paul would say, the rare how do I say it? The rare opportunity for total glory. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, how do we just get together as a community for innovation in 2025? The space has matured. We're 13, almost 14 years running, but we don't want to lose that ability to morph or at least test to make what we have better.
As long as those staunch maximalists, Bitcoin maximalists are out there and they have the biggest voice because they have the most Bitcoin, as long as they're here, you're not gonna be able to do anything innovative on Bitcoin because whatever they say is Bible, right? It's the word. So I think before there was a lot of innovators, a lot of programmers that were like working with Litecoin as a test net to see if it was good for Bitcoin, and they were willing to work on it. But now it has become so political to where you don't want to piss Michael Saylor or Adam Back. Like Adam Back used to be the man, like cyberpunk, right? Now he's tweeting maximalism. They all sound the same. Shitcoin this, shitcoin that, So I think the Bitcoin, it's going to be very hard for any changes to come to Bitcoin because it's no longer led by people who are trying to change the world and programmers and idealists. Now it's all about money and how high the price can go. So I just think it's very sad if you think about it in those terms.
What I don't want to see, though, I don't want to see that happen to Litecoin. That's what I'm trying to say.
It won't because of Charlie.
Yeah, and also to the community. And see, back then there was a lot more respect from Bitcoin devs and Bitcoin community towards Litecoin. And even even when Lightning first happened, there was more respect. And then all of a sudden it became, we don't need Litecoin. Yeah. We don't need Litecoin because of Lightning. And I would do these videos about paying with Litecoin, and they'd be like, Litecoin's a shitcoin. We don't need it because of Lightning. And now fast forward 7-8 years later, and we see what Lightning is, and we're like, look, I'm still bullish on Lightning. I want it to work. I still see a good future for Lightning, but not how I first came to understand it. Mm-hmm. It's a whole, that's going to be the big man's game, the big entities game, the Visas of the world, the MasterCards of the world, because they're going to be these LSPs, and they're already are registered as an MSB, which is a money service business. And that's the whole thing with Lightning. It really doesn't work in a non-custodial manner. So there has to be somebody that's routing these Lightning transactions that's custodial, and they have to be registered as an MSB, a money service business. And that's where these big players are going to come in, grab those fees. And so I am bullish on Lightning, like long term, like 10, 20 years down the line. That'll take a while to fully adopt, but it was a lot more respect in the beginning. And like John said, now the ethos has changed. These people have changed. Everything's a shit coin. There's no respect for anything. It's like if you're a football team, I always said Litecoin is like the backup quarterback. You need a good backup quarterback. And guess what? You want to make sure your backup quarterback is fed well. He's taken care of. He's ready to win the game if the starting QB needs to be taken out of the game. And that's kind of like how Litecoin always stepped up with these upgrades and testing these things and all that. It's like to turn around and then just shit on your backup quarterback.
That's a good analogy, Bob.
It's been very bizarre.
Yeah, I'm optimistic that we will continue to test, and we haven't lost that in the community, and I hope we never do. Obviously, we need to consider what is being tested, have the code screened and cleaned, and test. Just test. We must be willing to test. Doesn't mean we ultimately implement, but we must always be willing to test if the idea has merit. We got to approach this wisely.
I appreciate your optimism, but if I'm being 100% real, and I want to give shout out to David Burkett, Alan Austin, David Schwartz, Lotion, and all these people in the Litecoin Foundation, Robbie, all these people that are like really putting the work in, right? But at the end of the day, if the price doesn't move, right, like I give so much props for everyone who's still in Litecoin and who's like still supporting with everything, because it takes a lot of guts, a lot of conviction for you to be in Litecoin right now, right? Because can we just be honest? Like, the price has been miserably bad, right? So like these days, I can't even defend Litecoin, because at the end of the day, people want to know how it performed. And
Right.
honestly, it didn't perform. And I feel sorry for so many people who held for so long and they never got to get that shine, right?
Mhm.
So props to everyone who's still in Litecoin, who still have conviction for Litecoin. The only way that whatever you're thinking, Kyle, is going to come to fruition is for Litecoin price to soar. And if that happens,
$1,000,
it's like a magnet. It'll attract everyone,
Yeah.
right? But until that happens,
It also, Litecoin is a better. See, I didn't used to look at price at all. And I'm not looking at price. It's all about use. But the thing is, as the price is very important, because
it's the best evangelist.
It's an attracting agent. Yeah.
not only that, as the price goes higher, Litecoin's a better currency. Litecoin's going to be a way better currency when the price of Litecoin is $1,000, is $2,000 compared to Litecoin at $100. The reason being, there's that much higher market cap. There's that much more liquidity. You could send larger payments through the network. You can move larger amounts of money. Let's face it, you couldn't move $12 billion through the Litecoin network right now in one shot. It doesn't have that much capacity or throughput or value. You know what I mean? Where you could do it right now on Bitcoin. So it'll be a much better currency too when the price is higher. But John's right. When the price moves higher, it's going to attract. And that's
Kyle?
all going to come to fruition.
Kyle, I just gave you a good segue.
We want to talk about the market. We're all waiting for the market. So we can look at 2017. We already kind of were back in those days, and you guys were a part of it. I was there. That blew me away. Went from $3 to $3.90, something like this. We're now looking at a descending triangle for about 8 years. 2021 never really happened. It was like an abort. So where are we looking now? Speaking of ETFs, speaking of, by the way, more Bitcoin developers coming to Litecoin, more ideas coming to Litecoin. The community is growing despite a lack of maybe current NGU. The Litecoin account has been on fire. The main Bitcoin account signaled to Litecoin last week. There's things moving for Litecoin. And I am very optimistic that we will see some pretty neat things. So go ahead. Outlook on the market. Where are we in 2025? Will this be the new 2017, as some, including the Bitcoiners, the maximalists of the world will say, this is the new 2017. Is that correct? How do you see it?
I'll go first. Energy, it just never, it doesn't go away. Energy is always transferred, right? It doesn't just go away into the abyss. It always transfers to somewhere else, right? 2017, we had that big bull run. 2021, we actually went past the all-time high. Just a little
minimally.
bit.
Yeah.
Minimally, right? So I believe that's a good thing, because there's this pent-up pressure now since 2017 to 2025. I would be more worried if we blasted off at 2021, right? Then the energy was released. And then we come back down. And then 2025, how high can 2025 go? Now, I call it the penis theology. Penis theory, right? It went up 2017, 2020, 2021. It almost shot, but it didn't. Got blue balls, right?
Well,
now all this pent-up pressure, all this pent-up pressure in 2025, the energy, everything is ready. It's about to explode. And if it doesn't explode, then something's going to happen with the erection, right? So I believe this is the perfect storm. Not only is the president of the United States, the administration, the ETFs, the SEC Clarity Act, if you couldn't write a better script for a coin, Litecoin, still zero downtime, 100% uptime. No other coin can boast about that. And now, the Treasury, $100 million. Okay. Now, I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, May
because-
Pharmaceuticals. Yep.
Right. May Pharmaceuticals, $100 million they got the funding. Funding's over. And they should be buying starting today, all the way throughout the week. And the biggest question people have is, are they going to market buy? Are they going to OTC, over the counter buy? Let me tell you something. There's only about 400,000 Litecoin in the order books. There's no way they can market buy. If you market buy, you're killing yourself, because as the price keeps going up, you're just buying it at a more expensive cost as you market buy. So I believe that they're going to do OTC. Okay.
Sure.
Let me tell you the impact of OTC. If you buy over the counter, you're going to pay a little bit of premium, but you're getting a big chunk at once, right? Now, it won't have the price impact that a market buy would initially. Okay. Whoever is selling this million Litecoin to this fund, right? It's probably their reserve or whatever else. But at some point, they have to buy back in the market to get their reserve back. So I don't think, I'm so confused why I had to jump into a cold plunge the other day, because my big golden child nut sacks were so big and glowing and just bubbling, and I had to plunge in order for it to shrink a little bit, because I'm so excited. Listen, when I get excited, you can tell, because the bottom of my pants starts swelling up. All right. So when I had to cold plunge to make sure that my balls went back to the normal Asian size, right? Because how can people not understand what's about to happen? They're worried if we're going to market buy, OTC buy. It doesn't matter. Because number one, they cannot market buy, because that would be stupid.
Right, John.
It would be stupid, because you're literally killing yourself, because you're trading against yourself, because there's all the liquidity in the market. You're absorbing everything. The price is going to skyrocket.
And it's 1.2% of the entire supply.
1.2%. And now, if they buy OTC, I guarantee in coming days, weeks, or maybe even a month, you're going to see a supply shock. And when the news hits, when the insiders find out that they just bought $100 million worth of Litecoin behind the scenes, you don't think these insiders will take that and be like, you know what? Maybe I should buy some damn Litecoin before the market reacts to this. And the reality of 1 million Litecoin being taken off the market is going to start to show its effect, right? So I just want everybody to know, if you're listening to me right now and your diamond nuts ain't tingling, you don't get what the hell I'm saying. You need to sit down, okay? You need to think about what I just said and digest it, chew it, digest it, and let that reality go down into your balls, okay? And let your balls become enlarged. And then you go find the coldest water that you can find and plunge.
Usually does the trick.
And then I want you to DM me and say, John, my balls felt it. I appreciate you. You are the real deal. I got it. Litecoin to the moon, baby.
Let me add another layer to what you're suggesting here. So you have one entity buying 1.23% of the entire 84 million supply. By the way, there are not 84 million till 2148. So it's actually less than that. There's 10% that's going to be mined roughly over the next however many years. But that doesn't discount grayscale buying. That doesn't discount Hashdex buying, because they're already functioning. They're just not functioning.
And
in
the
United
ETFs,
States.
they're going to buy.
Doesn't count Canary coming in, or the Monochrome in Australia, or Tuttle. There's so many of these other gigantic, or other treasuries cropping up. Luxfolio is the first one. May is the second one. So you're talking about major
but
players
also
coming in
Donald
to buy
Trump's
Litecoin.
Donald Trump Jr.'s fund.
No, that's correct.
$250 million, and one of the coins is Litecoin.
Litecoin.
Guys, do you understand this perfect storm that is brewing? Listen, I want you to hear this real quick. That's my nuts. My nuts just got hard just thinking about it again.
I haven't pulled up a different.
Go bring me some ice. I need some
I
ice.
guess
These nuts, son.
I guess I have a little bit of a different outlook than John.
Uh-oh.
Show us the meaning of scarcity. What are you saying, Johnny?
So I like what he said, and I agree with it. I think he's spot on. They're obviously not going to market buy because they'd be trading against themselves. They're going to OTC buy, and it's not going to be an immediate. You're not going to see it in price immediately. Like, are you going to see Litecoin price go up this week? Maybe, but it might be unrelated to them buying because they bought OTC. But at some point, there's going to be a supply shock. However, if you're buying into Litecoin right now, if you're watching this, I think 2027 is when we are going to see Litecoin get really strong again against Bitcoin and Ethereum as far as the ratio goes. I like to look at that instead of the US dollar price. And 2027 is the next Litecoin halving. And the reason why I say that, I think a lot of money is going to pour into crypto in the next year. I think a lot of it's going to keep going into Bitcoin and a lot of it's going to go into Ethereum. Reason it's going to go into Ethereum is because of the Genius Act. And let's face it, these stable coins are going to be built on Ethereum. It's going to bring a lot of money into the Ethereum ecosystem and Ethereum chain, right? However, 2027, Litecoin's going to have an ETF by then. Money is going to
Before 2027.
It'll be
This year.
happen.
God willing, October. Yeah.
Well, by 2027, there'll probably be multiple ETFs that are mature at that point. It's not like day one that it came out. And money is going to spill over from Bitcoin, from Ethereum into Litecoin. It's not going to take much to see the price really gap higher. Let's face it, Bitcoin's a multi-trillion-dollar asset. Ethereum's heading to be $1 trillion asset. Trillions. So we're talking about, say, 100, 200 billion pours into Litecoin. You're going to see the price explode because in 2027, you're going to have a Litecoin ETF. Crypto is going to be that much more on the map. And all of a sudden, it's going to be in the news cycle. Hey, they're going to want to pump the Litecoin halving. And one reason is because there's going to be a Bitcoin halving the next year. So just to talk about this whole halving thing in general. But the general public at that point is going to say, wait a second, what? There's another coin that has a halving like Bitcoin has? Litecoin? Well, it's an ETF. Oh, it's institutional grade. Oh, that's like the oldest crypto besides for Bitcoin. You're going to see a lot of money spill into Litecoin.
And that's extremely important.
I agree, but I want to talk about 2025. I think you're
still going to see good things this year.
2025. Listen, you have never seen a perfect storm brewing like this. Everything is in its place. I've never been
Right, John.
to where everything from the government to the SEC, everything is in line. It's like a puzzle. You just finally figured out which piece goes to which piece, and all you got this one little piece, okay? One little piece that's going to complete the picture. You know what that is? It's the rate cut. What happens to Jerome Powell, whether he resigns or whatever, and the rate cut happens, boom, it's the last piece of the puzzle, and we're going to explode. Let me tell you something. People don't understand one thing. Don't listen to anything you see in the public. Whatever people are tweeting in public is what they want you to think. It's the person they want you to think they are. Is mostly virtue signaling. What's happening behind the scenes is we're all human. And you know what humans have? Greed. Okay? It doesn't take much. Okay? Listen, back in the day before crypto, before Bitcoin, 10, 20% a year, you were probably the best performing fund in the world. Now, 10, 20, bro, it doesn't even move anything. 10, 20% doesn't even affect my pants. My thing that doesn't even react to a 10, 20% anymore. What I'm saying is you can trust in the ability for a human being to be greedy. And people, altcoin season is basically people who made money on Bitcoin coming in to make more money on altcoin because they know they can do 5x, 10x, and 100x on an altcoin. So they're going to come in. And this is the mentality of a human greed. They're going to look at Ethereum. They said, dang, it's a $3,800 asset. It's going to take a lot of dang money to pump this to a 10x or a 5x. And then they're going to look at Litecoin. Why? It's got 2011. It's got the branding. It's got the name. Now it's $100. The news says $100 million is going into it. Donald Trump fund is tapping into it. And then you're going to hear all these companies start to jump in because of FOMO. Listen, it doesn't take much to take a $100 asset, right, and make it 10x. So although I appreciate John's 2027 theory, which I 100% believe will happen, 2027 is not the bull market. 2025 is. And
you are correct.
During this bull market, it's going to explode. Listen, this is my third cycle. I remember I had this token called Wax in my old computer. Okay. It was like $3. One day, 2021 bull run, it was like $6,000. All right. This is what I'm saying. It's going to be whatever. Listen, every bull market cycle, I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. How high can this go? But with this perfect storm, it's going to take every other past cycle. And we're going to think like, whoa, I have never experienced a bull market this hard before, right? This is going to be unprecedented. It's going to be a historical bull run. And Litecoin is in the perfect, sweet price spot at $100. And it's in the perfect place where it's got the branding and it's known as the OG POW coin.
Yep.
And all this money flowing. And then the greedy people are like, why are we going with Ethereum? We can pump Litecoin. It's $100. We can 10x on Litecoin. Listen, at the end of the day, people don't care. Rich people don't care about Ethereum and its network and its blockchain or how Litecoin is fast, secure, and zero downtime. You know what they care? How much can I pump a coin and take as much value out of it as much as possible and leave the bull market and let all the bag holders hold this coin? This is the game behind the scenes. It's $1 trillion market cap now, right? There's no more of this believers coming in and holding. It's the people with elites with a bunch of Bitcoin that wants to have more Bitcoin, and they're going to go all out and use every avenue, every tactic, every strategy to make that happen. And I'm telling you right now, Litecoin is positioned to be that one coin in this bull market that is going to explode. Tony the Bull said, looking at the charts, he said, I have seriously doubt that Ethereum can do a 10x because at its price point. But Litecoin can definitely do a 5x or a 10x. Listen, 5x from now, it's only $500.
Yeah,
that's just going back to its all-time high.
Yeah.
Right? And remember, my penis theory, all that pent-up pressure, my boy's got to explode someday. And I believe it's going to be 2025. Litecoin explodes, and it's going to splatter everyone, and it's going to be glorious.
Let me add a context.
Money shot, baby.
Add some context.
Money shot.
We had, and thank you, John. We had 2017 again, $3 to $3.90. I know there was Coinbase listing. There was some hype around. I mean, it was again like Johnny said earlier, it was a less crowded space. You had the SegWit and things like that, but that wasn't a whole lot. What we have in Litecoin now is light years ahead of that in terms of metrics. It is the only blue chip, if we want to go with that sort of language, that really didn't get the mega, right? It edged twice where it basically was 390 to 415, something like this. So if you do some napkin math, a 3 to 390, take this cycle low of, let's say, 60, it would actually produce a $7,800 Litecoin. And that is not even considering all of the other things that came, that doesn't consider all of the other progress that has happened in the last 8 years. So I don't predict. I'm not the chartist. Tony the Bull can. You're hearing from John Kim. There's others out there.
I don't predict
I'm just putting it on paper.
only
Saying
thing I
if
will
that
say is
repeated, we're gonna be mind blown.
past all-time high. That's the only thing I will say. But just be ready to have some diapers on because you're gonna be leaking.
Litecoin could easily 10x if you just look at the market cap. The market cap right now is probably around 10 billion, if I had to guess.
It's around 9 point something because it went down to 115.
So you got $9 billion market cap. Let's say it goes to $100 billion market cap. That's about an 11x from here. That's a price of over $1,000.
You know, 1 to 2,000, I think is.
I think it's easy to get a crypto. All crypto has to do is catch some fire, and the market cap could easily go to $100 billion. Yeah. So I mean, XRP's market cap is over $100 billion right now. XRP. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't do anything.
I gotta give shout out to Charlie for working his butt off to make sure that this My Pharma is they got $100 million for investors and they're putting it all into Litecoin. It's not some in Litecoin, all into Litecoin. And I think Charlie, he recognized people's frustration, right? I mean, we all know that's the elephant in the room. Don't talk about the price. But I think at some point, Charlie was like, I want to do something for the purists, for the people who stay, for the people with conviction. And I know price is not important, but it is important to some people. It's their livelihood, right? So I appreciate it. He took 40 meetings in like a week to get this done, right? And he sits on the board and he put his name out there. And So I just want to say big shout out to Charlie Lee for, even though he's not involved like in Litecoin as far as like holding it, but he has proven with time that he never left the project. He literally, guys, funded just about every Litecoin Foundation project himself financially. So I think this move of Charlie was very sacrificial. And also it's one of those like, hey, Charlie's like, I see you guys and I'm going to work my butt off to make sure that this happens, just to say thank you to everyone who stayed pure and who stayed with conviction in Litecoin. So big ups to my boy, Charlie.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely. I think so. And so that also suggests, 40 meetings, we saw one kind of after effect of it. I mean, there could be a lot more coming out in the coming days, weeks, months, based on those meetings, because we don't know who he talked to. Right. So more will be revealed on that. I know we don't talk about price a lot on the show, but I think it's part of it. I know, in episode 6, we had who was once known as Master BTC LTC on the show. And some people would just, oh, this guy's crazy. When it's like, well, he's vision casting. He's got an opinion. He's got models. And I think we should hear him out. So he's a friend of mine, right? But I do talk about price sometimes, but I let other folks talk about it. But I think regardless of how high it goes or where we go, the space is growing. Litecoin will benefit. All the metrics are in its favor. It is the blue chip and all the uptime and all the memes that we know as the Litecoin community. So I don't know where it's going to land, but it's going to be. And John's back. And by the way, you already talked to Saylor about Litecoin. He said it's going to succeed with someone like John Kim, and you're now back in the seat. So maybe we have MicroStrategy adding a secondary position to the best Bitcoin or the better Bitcoin called Litecoin.
Hey, can I say something? If I owned 10,000, 20,000 Bitcoin, I wouldn't look at Litecoin either. Why? Come on. Let's not play around here. Like, if I have 1,000, 2,000 Bitcoin, I'm probably not going to look at any other coin because I'm probably set for life. You know what I'm saying? So
the greed was satiated. There's
Johnny
a cap on greed?
I know, but Johnny knows that Litecoin is the people's coin.
It is.
So it's for the people. And right now, the market, the universe is giving random people, low people that aren't rich, another chance.
An opportunity.
Changing the trajectory of their financial lives. And Litecoin is that coin.
The opportunity.
That's right. Take it. Take it by the balls, son. I don't know why I keep talking about balls a lot. I'm not gay, but it's just incredible how big my nuts get, and I'm Asian.
You got me.
Very
You got me wanting to buy more Litecoin after this show, John.
Buy
I'll
Litecoin, mine
Yep,
Litecoin,
my
trade
hands.
Litecoin, all of this stuff. Well, I'm glad to have both of you back, although I argue you never left. But John, do you have
We
anything?
never left.
Do you have anything about this? Is a periphery, but do you have anything with AMP or anything going on with them that we might need to know about? Or when are you going to get the bus out?
I was supposed to get the bus done this summertime, but I had some, personal problems that I had to deal with, and yeah. But at the end of the day, when Litecoin needs me, I'm here, right? Because Litecoin changed my life. Not only did it change my life, it made me meet friends, lifelong friends, and I don't know many of you know, but like Charlie helped me in my darkest times, in my lowest of times. I mean, even helped me where I could take care of my mom and stuff like that. So, I owe him a lot. And anytime he calls on me, I'm here. I don't care what I'm doing. And that's my loyalty. I'm that guy. I'm him, the loyal guy that if you did something for me, I'll never forget it, and I'll always got your back. So I'm back because Litecoin needs me right now. We don't need somebody just talking about price and 5,000, 6,000. Hey, I tell you exactly how it is, and I tell you from my heart what I'm feeling. That's just the way I am. I don't BS. I don't take advantage of people. I've been down, so I know how it feels to be down. And look, I'm an ENFP. ENFP. So they call me the campaigner. I'm just naturally, if I believe in something, I'll campaign for you. That's just what I do best. That's what comes naturally for me. So Litecoin, I'm here. I'm ready to do it. AMP, listen, I love AMP. And I'm here for AMP until everybody who got into AMP because of me wins. So I don't know what's going to happen during this bull run, but I'm hoping that I can work with AMP and Litecoin at the same time and keep my word and making everybody win bigly.
Good word, bigly.
Nice.
Let's do some Q&A. We're running long. I don't want to keep you up all night, but I appreciate every moment. So this is a fun one. We're gonna go back to the Sailor. Can you comment on your moment with Sailor, John? What was that like? And you did get him to acknowledge Litecoin.
Right. I think Sailor is he's on another level. Anyone from MIT, they're just different. They just think in a different way. And what I appreciate about Sailor was not anything else but this. I remember he said, really, really wealthy people never sell their assets. They borrow against their assets. And then as the assets go up, they pay back and then they borrow again. It's a tax-free event. That changed my life. Like, so many people don't understand that if you have an asset that is valuable, they try to sell it when things get hard or whatever. But now there's a lot of products, even Coinbase has it. But my favorite product, and I'm not sponsored, there's this app called Lava. Lava, it's decentralized. You keep your private key. It's not a centralized borrowing thing. So you put a Bitcoin and you can borrow up to like 50, 60, 70%. But, you should borrow like 30, 40% just in case, Bitcoin drops. But for me, it's like my thought process has changed to where, yes, Sailor was right. All the rich people, they never sell their asset. People who bought land in New York City back in the early 1900s, they still have that land. They still have, and it's like generational, right? And they just keep borrowing against it. They never pay taxes and they just keep acquiring these assets. And Bitcoin is the New York, the Tokyo, the Seoul, Korea of cyberspace. So if you get your hands on Bitcoin, you really don't sell it. You use it as a collateral, borrow money, and as it goes up, you just pay it back and rinse and repeat. So to me, that was the most impactful thing that I've heard from Sailor on my podcast. And it's one of those things that'll never go away. So every time I'm thinking of like something bad happens and I need to go sell something, first thing I think of now is like, no, I don't need to sell it. I can use it as a legit collateral, get the money, And then as it goes up, I can pay it back. Because right now, like if you borrow something, you borrow 50,000 on lava, you're paying $300 a month. And the crypto market goes up and down $50,000 in a day sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like my mentality has completely changed after the interview because, okay, if I'm going to be wealthy, I have to think like a wealthy person, and a wealthy person doesn't sell their assets. Wealthy person uses their assets to borrow money, and they pay it back and then borrow again, never triggering a tax event.
Yeah.
Right. So that was one of the most impactful moments of my financial life whenever I heard Michael Saylor say it to me directly. So
it's a good word. And I'll also do a little shout out to Lantern Finance, Jungwon Kim. He's offering Litecoin lending and Litecoin back loans.
Jungwon Kim,
great.
Holla at your boy. I'm Korean. If you got a good product and I use it and it's really as easy as lava, I got you, son, because we Koreans.
Yeah,
Holla.
check it out. He was at the summit. He was on the show a few episodes ago. I'll put that episode in the show notes. But yeah, you can always borrow against your Litecoin too. Next question, still for John. Recall the experience when you bought a Lambo with Litecoin.
Man, it was crazy. I remember I said in January that if Litecoin gets to 360, which was the past all-time high on Coinbase, that I would get a high rise and buy a Lamborghini. And May came around. I started calling everyone. Hey, would you let me pay with Litecoin? Everybody said no. And this one dealer called me back, emailed me back, and said, "Hey, I have a Coinbase account. Maybe we can make this work." And I said, "Okay, I'll help you. If you want to sell it, that's fine. But if you want to keep it, but I'll help you in doing this transaction. I'll even pay the slippage fee if it happens, right?" So I remember, I think it was May 6th or something. I woke up 6 a.m. and I said, "Today's the day." And I just bought a one-way ticket to Missouri. Bought a one-way ticket. I texted the owner of the dealership. And I said, "Hey, I'm coming to town. I bought a one-way ticket. Today's the day." And he said, "You are crazy, but I will come pick you up." Picked me up from the airport. We went back to his dealership. He pulled out the orange Lamborghini with, the spider with the top down. And I said, "I'm not sitting in that thing. I'm not touching that thing until it's mine." And then he's like, "Okay, fine." And then we go into his office and I send the Litecoin, 884 Litecoin to him, to his account, Coinbase.
Good number, and 84.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I have it on chain. I have a picture of it and everything. And then I said, "Listen, the deal is this. I'm not selling Litecoin anything under 360. I'm not buying that Lambo if it doesn't hit 360. So I layered it and put limit orders of Litecoin at 360 on his Coinbase. Dealership closes at like 6. We're there 5:30, 3:40, 3:50. Boom, goes back to like 3:30, 3:20. I was like, shoot, it didn't hit. I said, "You know what? I guess today wasn't the day." And then they close shop. Limit orders are already in. I go back to my hotel. I'm like, shoot, man. I swear I had this conviction. I got a one-way ticket. What am I going to do now? Like, I got to buy a, ticket. And then he texts me and said, "Hey, come to dinner with us at Capitol Grill." I'm walking to Capitol Grill. He gets out of his car and he said, "You son of a bitch. How did you know?" I was like, "What?" It's like, it hit. Every single limit order hit. The Lambo is yours. I was like, "Give me a hell yeah." And then we drank. The next day, I went in. I sat in the Lambo because it was mine now. And then all this like local news people came and started to interview me and everything. So, what's crazy is like manifestation is for real. I said it in January that if this happens, I'm going to do it. And I wanted to keep my word. And I did on a live stream to make sure that people keep me accountable. And then that day, I buy a one-way ticket. I go, and on that day, it hits, right? And then I get to drive the Lambo down. It was a dream come true because I remember when I was younger, I used to have Lamborghini Countach posters all over my wall. And my dream at that time was just to see a Lamborghini in real life. There was no Lamborghini in real. My only dream was to see a real Lamborghini in real life and to be able to purchase it outright on chain. Because, Johnny, you know this. My identity was I'm going to change the world by spending Litecoin, right? And the story wouldn't be good if I bought a Lambo with fiat. The story is only John Kim capable, right? If I bought a Lamborghini with Litecoin on chain, forever it's on there, and I'm the first to ever do it. And I always tell my son, I don't want you to be the best football player. I want you to be the first, which means I want you to be the first Korean white American to make it to the NFL, right? Everybody, if you're the best, somebody else always going to come and beat your best. But if you're first, that's it.
No one else
can do it. No one else can do it. So that was my experience, and I appreciate that. And you guys know that was a gift. I made a friend of mine, over $10 million in a certain trade, and that person just wanted to gift me, a Lamborghini. I said, well, I gotta buy it in Litecoin. So
that's awesome.
And one more thing, guys, if you ever buy a Lamborghini, I'm gonna tell you this: the tax was the price of a car, and I didn't know. I only brought enough for just the Lambo price, right? I completely forgot about that. The tax was $25,000.
Wow.
So if you're gonna buy a Lambo, I'm telling you right now, you better come with an extra $25,000 for that tax, son.
Yeah, that's good. I remember seeing that vehicle actually when you did have the meetup at your place. So I've seen the orange Lambo in the flesh, and everybody saw that story. That was a big deal when you posted all of those things. It was the community was celebrating with you, so that's good stuff.
The big thing in 2017 was win Lambo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did it, son.
That's the old meme, and you did. Let's see. I'm going to look here. So Blockhaven, we kind of already touched this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What are your thoughts on the Treasury companies like Luxfolio Holdings and May Pharma? I would be interested in you discussing it. We kind of already touched on that, but anything about Luxfolio or May?
Johnny, do you know about the Luxfolio? I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I know about them. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. I mean, it's like I said, it's not just Bitcoin treasury companies or Ethereum treasury companies. It's the fact that a company wants to hold Litecoin as part of its treasury really says something. It's that huge. That's huge. That puts Litecoin on the map more than use or this or that. It's like a company's putting the treasury into Litecoin. Where do they expect the price to go? What do they expect the future to be? So it's very bullish and promising.
They're either really stupid or super geniuses, and we'll find out this year.
Yeah, I think they're forerunners.
Yes.
I'll just add a note about Luxfolio. We had Zane, I think 3 episodes ago now. They, of course, were at the summit as well. They're going to be more active with their treasury, I imagine, than May. May's probably just holding on it, sitting on it like an asset. And it is an asset, it is a commodity. But Luxfolio is actually going to be actively giving back to the community, to developers, working with Litecoin Computer, LitVM, all this other neat stuff. They're going to be a part of it. So I think they're going to play a pretty active role in kind of ongoing development stuff for us and media and everything else. So more will be revealed on that. This one's for Johnny. This one's right down your expertise. Discover Litecoin says, which payment processors do you suggest a small business should use for crypto payments?
I mean, if you want to convert into US dollar or just use something reliable, you would use BitPay. BitPay is the biggest player in the game, most reputable. People trust it. So, I mean, BitPay is probably the way to go if you're just a small business and you want to have that convertibility right away. But the truth is, you can treat if you understand how to use Litecoin, you could take the payment yourself. Payment processor means you have e-commerce and you have a shopping cart. You have to connect into that shopping cart. You would use BitPay because they have the integration. You're just a business that sells high-end goods, not necessarily online. You want to accept Litecoin. You could accept it into Nexus Wallet, Trust Wallet, Exodus Wallet, anything that's going to generate a Litecoin address. You don't need to use a specific payment processor. I would say one thing: if you are a business accepting Litecoin for smaller transactions and you want to take it yourself privately, just use a wallet that shows the payment is coming in right away as soon as it propagates to the network. So like Exodus Wallet works that way. As soon as you send a transaction, Exodus Wallet does a cha-ching noise and shows you that payment is pending and incoming. So in a retail environment or an environment where the transactions are small and you need speed, that will be of importance. But if you're talking online payments, I think BitPay would be the way to go.
Good deal. BitPay, number one. We've had a pretty good streak there. Bitcoin did come up recently. I said 1 month anomaly, but other than that, we've had like 18 plus months. Warren Lee says, who is organizing the 1K party and where? And why haven't I received my invite? And if it's going to be the same place for the 5K party?
I guess we'd have to do, I think Florida would be a great place for a 1K party. Florida's got the good weather. I don't know. What do you guys think? Where would a good Litecoin 1K party be?
Bro, I had fun on the Litecoin cruise.
Yeah, I'm still rooting for somebody to show up in Texas one of these days. I mean, John, I think we need to bring him to Texas.
Texas would be another good place. I think Texas or Florida. Well, my vote, I would give either of those states my vote.
Our oceanside experience is not going to be Miami, but we do have the golf.
Golf, and also we have like really beautiful pools. You know what I'm saying?
We do.
The ladies and the bikinis.
I would say Florida, not Miami. Anywhere in Florida but Miami, because Miami kind of doesn't go with the whole Litecoin ethos, I feel like. It's Litecoin's more original. So Miami's kind of like a fake, it's all about the glitz.
So expensive, bro.
Yeah,
expensive.
I would say, anywhere else in Florida that's on the coast or something would be good, or Texas. I think that's more the Litecoin vibe.
Sounds good to me. Let's see. Are the reasons that brought you to Litecoin, this could be for both of you, are the reasons that brought you to Litecoin the same reasons that keep you here now?
Go ahead, John. Johnny, I'm tweeting about our little podcast right now.
Reasons that brought me to Litecoin, the reasons that keep me here. I think that is still the driving force. Although I see the market's changed, that does still drive me that Litecoin is a better form of money, better form of payment. And I used to tweet that a lot when I first hit the scene. And I still believe that, feel that, and had that conviction. So yeah, I would say for the most part, what brought me here is keeping me here.
Good word. Anything for you, Mr. Kim?
What was the question real quick? Sorry.
Kind of like the first principles. What brought you here? Are those things still operating, keeping you here, or are you here for something else? Has it totally changed?
I came here to change how, the payments, how the banks. I remember telling this story. I remember when I was doing my business and they made me a preferred client. And if you're a preferred client, they waive every dang fee. And I was like, how's this fair? Like, you got to be preferred to be not charged a fee. And then I found out about the whole, the reserve, the banking, whatever. So, and I left because I wanted to change how money was done, payments was done, and I still have that same passion, but it's just been a long time since I've been in the space. And like with me and Johnny talked about earlier before we went on, it's like sometimes you need a break. You just need to get away. We've been here since 2017, going all in and you know, all of our energy and time into it. And at some point you got to kind of get away and just because you don't love it anymore. You know, like I kind of like, kind of done. I kind of fell out of love with crypto and how it's going. But now I feel like, you know, I don't want to miss this bull run. And if I can encourage or inspire someone else to stay in, to make a lot of money, and I feel like, and my best natural talent is to be a campaigner, and I'm going to be here and to campaign for this people that have held on and that deserve a win. So there's so many people in this space that doesn't have many followers or whatever, and they really truly deserve to win. And I'm here to make sure that those people win. And if I can help them to win, then I'm going to do my best to do it. So now it's not about me anymore. I'm here because I want to make sure that the people have a chance to succeed, because when you first get in, you don't know when to buy. But after a cycle or two, you're like, when do I sell? So I think I'm gonna do some videos later on some of the strategies that I came up with from past experience, what not to do and what you should be doing. Because at the end of the day, you can be loyal to a project, right? But you can still make money. And there's a lot of people that mix that up. They put that together. No, you can be 100% loyal to the project, but at the end of the day, you need to make money and you need to be able to, you know, fund what you love and take care of your family. So taking profit is 100% okay, just as long as you stay loyal to the project.
Here. I agree with that very much. Why Litecoin and I were talking a few months ago. We discussed that exact thing. So I agree with you. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. You're OGs. You come on the 84 Million podcast. Second time for Johnny. First time for John Kim. Episode number 42, half of 84. What a great number. And of course, thank you to everybody who tuned in and watched the shenanigans tonight. I think it was more down to earth than some of our other episodes. I had a lot of fun personally. Of course, you can find this episode at 84million.com/podcast.
One last thing.
Stream us wherever you find us. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on X. John.
Follow him. Hey, so one last thing. You know, Kyle asked me and Johnny, hey, you guys want the show notes? Me and Johnny naturally said, hell no. Because me and Johnny, we don't do notes. We're off the cuff to the day that we die, son. Yes. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Follow my boy, 84 Million, Kyle. And guys, listen.
Yep.
Johnny.
Thanks a lot.
Is the legend.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, Johnny is a legend. He's going to be on the
Great time
Litecoin, Mount Rushmore. So everybody respect and love Johnny. Follow him. Thank you, Kyle. I had a blast.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you both. And we will talk to you guys soon. Over and out.